Am I the a-hole for not wanting my parents to adopt my ex-fiancé? My female 24, ex-fiancé male 24, and I were together for 7 years. He proposed last fall and we mutually decided to break up in May. He's always gotten along incredibly well with my parents, especially my father. They always treated him like he was one of their children, and my parents have always told him he's part of the family. For example, he started coming on family vacations with us when we were 17. It was a very tough decision to end our relationship, but we both agreed it was for the best. He moved out while I finished up our lease term. His plans fell through last minute, and he moved in with my parents for a little while finding a new place. Obviously, I felt a little weird about him moving into my childhood bedroom and being at my parents' house a fair amount. It led to lots of awkward interactions, but we got past it. He moved out at the start of August and I thought that was that. But last night, my parents invited me over for dinner. They sat me down and explained that since the wedding was off, and my ex-fiancé wasn't going to be part of the family by marriage, they wanted to adopt him. They asked him last week and he agreed as long as I'm okay with it. I'm definitely not. I told them that I'm not really comfortable with that. And they started telling me that I'm keeping them away from their son. And that I need to tell him that I'm okay with it so that we can all be a real family. I'm worried I'm being an a-hole because they have cared so much for my ex over the years. I'm also worried I'm being selfish by worrying about how to explain this to future partners. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents are weird. Not the a-hole OP. Lol. My first thought was it's totally cool for parents to love their kids' significant other like their own. But your parents are beyond weird OP. Reading this post made me feel like I walked through a cave full of hallucinogenic mist. They what? They want to adopt a grown man. Your ex-fiancé no less. So that he remains part of the family? Not the a-hole hun, but I think your parents need a psychological evaluation because that idea is super crazy. If Opie doesn't have any brothers, they may have seen him as the son they never had. And depending on the relationship he has with his parents, he may have reciprocated. I do actually have a younger brother. He's going to university in another country and doesn't visit home very often. My ex's mom passed when he was young, and his dad remarried and is much more invested in his new family. I'm surprised he agreed, but haven't had a chance to actually talk to him about it. Not the a-hole. And your parents are freaking weird for even thinking this is an acceptable thing to do. Seriously, this one is a hill to die on. Your parents need to decide whether you are family or he is family. But it's crazy to think that they can have both, simply because they like the dude. For real though, I would tell my parents if they went through with this, they would gain a son but lose a daughter. They should actually be starting to distance themselves from him now that the relationship is over. But instead, they went way into the opposite direction to BSC ideas. Next story. Am I the a-hole for giving my mother a house on the condition that my brother and his family do not come to live with her? My 45 female mother 76 female is a very simple person. My father abandoned us when the youngest was 6 months old, and my mother was never the same mentally. I have a good financial condition. I try to help as much as I can with the groceries and bills. But it is very complicated because my mother refuses to come live with me and remains in the terrible house that my father gave her in the divorce. My brother, my sister-in-law, and their 3 children, 13 male, 9 male, and 5 female, live in the house at the back. And the house was tiny with a big yard. My brother built his house in the back and made the house even smaller. And he uses my mom as a free babysitter to take care of the kids he had. Not to mention the dogs he adopted and never paid their food, and several times their children go to eat at my mother's house. Keep in mind that my mother receives a low income in retirement. That is only really enough for her to support herself. I've been saving money for more than a decade to buy her a house and I finally got it. It is a simple house with 1 bedroom and bath with a big yard with a garden. Perfect for her. I talked to her and she agreed with me that it would be better for the house to be in my name, because I know my brothers and what they are capable at any given opportunity. But it would have a lifetime usufruct clause for her only. I warned her that I didn't want my brother to move with her, but in return she wouldn't have to worry about bills and food anymore, as that would help. She looked relieved. I told my brother at her request. She was next to me. And he said it would be difficult to accommodate everyone, but that eventually he would help expand the house to house everyone. I saw the despair on my mother's face, so I just made it very clear that the house was for my mother and not for them. He started to say yes, but said he could help with the bills or food, and that his and mother's house was too bad for a family of 5. I said no, that mother accepted the gift knowing that he wouldn't live there, and that due to their history I wouldn't trust him to pay the bills. He doesn't pay my mother, and I wouldn't be paying for 5 people. He started calling me selfish and that I was an a-hole to give a gift on condition, knowing how bad my mom's house is and that she obviously has no other option to accept. He said I was purposely harming him and making him out to be a monster. My mom is more relieved to get out of the house, but my brothers are calling me an a-hole even more because the house is in my name. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You're saving your mom from your mooch of a brother and he's just being spiteful because you're doing so in a way that he cannot exploit. OP should also have a written agreement done by a lawyer. That way in the event OP was to go on vacation or business trip and couldn't take his mom, that agreement would prove as evidence that his brother isn't allowed to move in or do any modifications to the house. Not the a-hole. However, if you haven't already, you should consider consulting an attorney to have a plan to enforce keeping your brother out of your mother's house. I should say your house because you're the owner, fortunately. That way, if it tries to step over the line and invade her space, your property, you can take action. And make sure you let him know you have consulted a lawyer and there will be consequences if he does anything improper. Maybe get power of attorney from your mother if anything should happen to her. Not the a-hole. And you think what your brother says about the house for your mother only is important. Why? Your brother has long been imposing himself and his family onto your mother. He spends money that is not his and largely supports his family with the help of her old house and you paying some of the expenses. He's even taking advantage of you to help raise and keep his dogs. What you should care a wit's edge about what he thinks of you is beyond me. Okay, he's your brother, but he's also a free rider on your money and your mother's. I don't know what a usufruct is, unless it is a legal way to keep your brother and his family from moving in and taking it over. You definitely need an attorney to draw up legal papers that you and your mother would sign that would keep him doing that all ever. He has a bad record. He took over your mother's house and stole part of his family's support from you and your mother. You owe him nothing. Do whatever it takes to keep him from moving in at his leisure after your mother does. He sounds like the kind of person who is constantly thinking of how things can turn in his direction. I bet even now he's scheming to move there in spite of what you and your mother said to him. You need something legal and forceful to keep him out, and be willing to enforce it if you must. My heart hurts for your mother. She deserves a quiet, livable house with expenses that she can afford, just like what you have given her. This clause prevents me from expelling my mother from the house. She is free to manage as she wants until her death. But there's the condition that my brother doesn't move into the house. Yes, legal papers are being made. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my child's college fund to my stepson so he can go to college? I, female 43, am married to my husband Neil, male 46. We've been married for 2 years and together for a total of 5 years. We have children from previous relationships. I have my daughter Grace, female 20, and Neil has a daughter and a son, Lola, female 23, and Alex, male 18. When I was pregnant with Grace, my late parents generously set aside a college fund for her. It has been placed in a bank account under my name, and it's up to me to give the funds to Grace. There was a change of plan. Grace decided she didn't want to go to college and instead got a job as a real estate agent through a friend in the industry and doing a full-time 5-month training course. She now makes decent money. Neil has been pestering me about the college fund lately as Alex wants to go to college to pursue a degree in criminology. He said I should give the college fund to Alex instead, since Grace doesn't want to go to college anyway, so she doesn't need the money. I'm unsure as to what to do with the college fund because my parents only wanted the money to go to Grace, on the condition that she uses it to go to college. I told Neil no, and he got really offended and said that my decision isn't fair on Alex. I'm considering giving the money to Grace anyway, so she can use it to put towards the house. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Neil and I have a prenup. So if we were to divorce, he would not be entitled to anything. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. That money was specifically left for Grace. Indeed, Not to mention Grace might want to use the money for a house like Opie stated, or to pursue college or any other professional education she might want/need. At the end of the day, that money was set aside by your parents for Grace, Opie, not a-hole. Also, am I the only one who thinks it's weird to ask for a college fund money like this? No, you're not the only one. But I've seen in my own family how weird people get where money is concerned. Everyone seems to think they are entitled to family money somehow. Not a-hole. He has, presumably, had a son for at least 18 years now. What was his plan originally for Alex's college? I mean, it's not like it's surprise. Your kid at 18 wants to pursue higher education in a society that damn near freaking demands it. Neil's being obtuse at best, and a lazy money grubber at worst. Not a-hole. It's Grace's money from her grandparents. If she's not using it for college, give it to her for her house, or to start her own kid's college fund. It's not your money. You're just a steward. This is what angers me about these types of posts. Why is it that the step-parent, usually recent step-parent, is somehow the one responsible for paying for college instead of the bio parents? Not a-hole. Your parents gave that money to invest in Grace's future. They reasonably thought that meant college, but other activities such as classes, real estate conferences, or helping Grace at some point set up an office are all investing in her future. This needs more upvotes. I absolutely agree that even if the money doesn't technically go to college, investing in her future was the point. She basically did a sort of trade school and got specific schooling for that career, and she is doing well. Giving her a down payment on a house or an office space would be just as beneficial to her future as college, which is overpriced and not worth it if you don't need it. Not a-hole. It's not your money. It's more or less money that you hold in trust for Grace's education. Since Grace decided not to pursue college, you need to decide what your parents would have wanted you to do with the money in these circumstances. Give it to Grace anyway to fritter away as she pleases? Hold on to it in case Grace does eventually decide to go to college. Hold on to it and put it toward Grace's potential children's educations? But it's not yours to give to your husband's children. This is a great answer. I have a strong suspicion that use it for your new stepson's education would not figure in Opie's parents' thinking. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not exempting my daughter from our no Wi-Fi rule when she claims she needs the internet for homework? 43 male, I have 3 children. Vivian, 17 female, Annabelle, 8 female, and Lucas, 8 male. My wife and I have a rule that from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. on weekdays and 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. on weekends, the Wi-Fi goes off. Because we don't want them staring at screens all day. Sophie and I had fun with our imaginations as kids, and ours can do the same. School started the last week of August for Vivian, and she has become extremely combative with the no Wi-Fi rule. She keeps pushing her limits about using the Wi-Fi during the off hours, because she always claims she have homework. I have had to take away her phone because we've got Vivian using some kind of phone app that gives her computer Wi-Fi. She's constantly angry and claiming she needs it for homework. I'm highly doubtful that she has so much homework so often. When I was in high school, we didn't even get homework until October. I was able to finish my homework in 20 minutes, and I certainly didn't need all weekend to do it. Vivian needs to learn how to get it done faster. She's taking too long, and she needs to start hurrying up with her homework now. Because in college, she will receive far more work and have much less time to complete it. Vivian got very angry on Friday because she said she needed the Wi-Fi again and there was an assignment due that night. She got angry at us because we shut the Wi-Fi off at the usual time, and she said she had to rush the assignment and likely got a bad grade for it. She's also complaining that she needed a computer to study and will fail otherwise. I admit I was very firm with Vivian. I sat her down and I told her that she needs to grow up and stop with the excuses and the disrespect. It's unfair to Annabelle and Lucas if she gets an exemption from the Wi-Fi rule. If she actually has homework, she needs to pick up the pace. I could do those high school assignments in 20 minutes, and she needs to be self-accountable for not hurrying up with work. She also doesn't need a laptop to study, and her trying to tell me otherwise is ridiculous. Vivian started crying and didn't seem to understand my message at all. My wife claims it's teenage hormones, but it's incredibly frustrating because Vivian cries and shuts down whenever I try to talk to her about something she doesn't want to hear. Several family members, including my wife, are saying I should let Vivian have the extra Wi-Fi because high school is getting harder, and they think all teenagers need the internet for help. But again, I've listed the reasons above why doing that would be wrong. Still, I'm asking on here if I should just do it for my wife and family. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. I always got homework starting the first day of school and it was generally hours worth. Either way, she's 17, not a small child. You don't need to control her internet usage. Give her some freedom as she's almost an adult. She's 17, not 8. Come into 2022 era and forget the 80s. Things have changed, and internet isn't like the dial-up or DSL expensive. The rest of our age group have come to realize that with kids now. When she's in the real world and college, she's going to be all over the internet for studying and research. Wow, and I thought me still buying physical books was seen as bad when there's digital books. This is just annoying. High school teacher here. She could absolutely have homework now. Did it ever occur to you that you could just have her show you the assignment? In my class, almost all of our assignments are online, and you need internet access to them. You cannot judge high school today by what you did. It's just a different world. You're the a-hole and might be hearing from teachers soon. As another high school teacher, have you tried reaching out to her teachers since you obviously don't trust your daughter? Easy way to confirm average homework load per class. Either way, you're the a-hole. School has changed a lot just in the last 10 years. You have no idea what your daughter is being asked to do by her teachers. When I was in high school, kids today have a lot more homework and a lot more assignments that require the use of the internet. I'm bewildered and appalled you're so disconnected from this day and age that you don't know that. Plus, she's 17. 1 year away from being able to move out and get away from your micromanaging. You're the a-hole. Educate yourself. Edit. Why don't you do your due diligence as a parent and check and see how much homework she has? Why are you basing your decision on an assumption?